Hello everyone, I am Vincent Orduña. I am the Artistic Director here at the Omaha Community Playhouse.
And my name is Box-Higdem. I'm the Associate Artistic Director as well as the Director for the upcoming production of Hair the Musical, which will open on February 13th in the Howard Drew Theater.
And today we're going to talk a little about hair and what went into the making and some of the themes and some of the things you can look forward to seeing. So Brandon, hair, huh?
Hair.
Hair, yeah. So talk a little about this title and what it means to you.
Yeah. When the season was announced last year, this was one that I had just so many question marks in my head. It's a period piece. Opened right around 1968, 69, and I just was like, why are we doing this?
I remember that. I remember you and I were both on Zoom going,
what?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, I'm now on the flip side and I'm heavily invested into the process, and I can see so many parallels as to where we are today.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking, you, with some of the things going on in the world today, you came up with this really interesting concept around protests. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And the fact that, you know, this core tribe of folks were protesting not only the Vietnam War, they were protesting, you know, the use of marijuana, the right to a woman's right to choose. There was a number of different things that were brought up within that musical that suddenly started to become a little eye-opening for me. On many levels, we're still there. And so that was kind of what I started to lean into. We're still protesting, you know, we see lots and lots of protests in the streets, you know, in the last 6 to 8 months. Sadly, we're still protesting some of the same things that they were protesting in 1968.
Yes, you know, and what's really interesting about this, I remember you and I had a conversation. I remember being a little concerned about how our turnout would be for auditions, because, you know, Hair is a very young show. You know, it's about a group of young people who are, and I remember wondering if we would get a younger turnout, because I know older generations remember this musical and love it.
Yeah.
But I think sort of what you're talking about, we got, well, you were in the room, we got quite the turnout.
We really did. There was a lot of people that decided to throw their hat in there, and the beauty of it is we ended up with a cast that we have folks in this cast that had auditioned numerous times at the Playhouse and never got the opportunity to be on stage, and so I am so excited for that opportunity. And the farther that we're getting into this cast can sing, and so this music is really getting its due diligence with this cast. They are phenomenal.
Well, and young. I got the opportunity to step into a rehearsal. You have some really amazing, I mean, I don't mean this to mention, kids in this show that are just. So talk to me about what it has been like in the room working with them, because you are such a great mentor. What has that process been like?
There have been numerous hurdles, obviously. There's a number of different topics that are uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to be navigating the ideas and topics of racism, the ideas and topics of war protest
and patriotism
and what does that mean, you know? You see in this script, you see the 1950s version of Mom and Dad, you see the 1950s version of you know, Margaret Mead makes an appearance, and how that idea of, you know, we have to do what's right for our country was not part of the hippie movement of that time period. In fact, they fought against that. And so the question becomes why? Why did they push back so hard? And so some of those hurdles, thank God we have built this phenomenal sense of community where we started with some tribe building in those first couple of rehearsals and really built this commonality of purpose in regards to, I can come to this space, I can share my heart, and I know that someone is going to be there to hold my hand while I do it. And that has been phenomenal. I truly believe that this cast is going to walk away from this experience and really feel, number one, that they have raised their voices, and number two, that they have built a common bond with each other and spoke up. The piece itself presents a lot of hurdles in regards to just time movement. There's a number of different things. I joke because it does feel like a little bit of a hippie drug trip sometimes. and so the cast will come at a song and they'll go, why? What is, because they come from this idea of, I have to put intentions of why I'm there, what I'm doing, all this kind of stuff. And there may not be actual intentions behind the song. This may be just a drug trip,
Stream of consciousness.
Streamline of consciousness, exactly. And then there's some time periods where there's a collection of 3 to 4 songs and there's a whole through line of things that are happening, but it may be a crazy amount of passage of time that happens only on 2 or 3 pages, and we have to work together to figure out how do we connect that so that it feels like it has a sense of direction and flow and all of that kind of stuff. So there have been challenges. This cast, they're not want to sit back. They raise those questions. They push. Both Melanie Epps, who's the choreographer, and I have really come at this. It's pushed me out of my comfort zone as well. I'm not necessarily a organic kind of director, which means that it's like very free form. It has that sense of it needs to feel like it's not choreographed. And so we give them that sense of structure first, and then we break it apart so that we can kind of...
So it feels spontaneous.
Yes. So it feels spontaneous, and that's difficult for them. They have really had to navigate, and I just have to keep reminding them, listen, we're all outside our comfort zones. We're going to be giving you a kind of a sense of direction. It's also going to be in the small space, so there's been times where I will catch an actor where they've completely just shut off, and I know that they're not grasping what it is. And so I have had to lean stronger into, this is the intention that I want from this moment. This is how we connect this. This is what's going to happen. And
you have to stay in the moment.
And you have to stay in the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, because your audience is going to be literally a foot away from you if they're sitting in the front row.
Well, you talk about it being in the small space.
Yeah.
I got to step up and take a look. Can you talk a little about the design concept for this show? That it is massive.
Yeah.
I walked in and all I could think was, wow, this given circumstance is huge.
Huge.
So can you talk a little about what, because I know you started working very early on with the set designer and lighting designer. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. Stephen Williams from UNO is our scenic and lighting designer.
Love him.
I love him. And he and I had some meetings just leaning into this idea of the evolution of protest, what it looks like, and how to navigate from a space that truthfully could have a very 60s, 70s rock concert feel that would also give us a sense of time and place that was not necessarily put into the script. And I think it lends itself really nicely. The script normally talks about this tribe, living together in this park encampment kind of a thing.
Oh, in Washington Square Park.
Yep. And I was like, let's shade that a little bit. Let's try and give it a little bit more where we can lean into the thematic elements of this protest
So
and how it's
they
evolved.
could be living anywhere.
They could be living anywhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so the set has a lot of these really great, beautiful banners. The thrust of the stage is basically turned into a projectable space so that we can project filmography of the morphing of protests throughout time, so that when you see a cast set in 1968, we have a moment there where we are protesting and we're seeing projections that are all time periods.
Nice.
They are all time periods, even into today, and leaning into that aspect of, it's all in black and white and you have to really look to catch it, but it's like, that is the core of what this is about. We have protest signs that are reversible, that really start to speak to the things that we are still protesting today.
Our human condition is our human condition.
Amen.
I love it. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. But yeah, no, I love that rock concert element. They're towers for the audience.
Yeah.
I like I said, it's the scale of the show
Yeah.
is the monolith that it is really amazing.
Yeah. And climbable. It's really, yeah. We're gonna have cast climbing all over this scaffolding. It's really cool.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about this show? I mean, I always hate this question, but it's a question you have to ask.
Sure.
What do you hope our audiences, I won't say take away from the show because we don't get to, what are you hoping that they encounter in this show? What do you hope this show engenders in them? What would you like that experience to be for an audience member?
In 1968 and 69, when it first came out, audiences were thrilled. They were captivated. They were offended. They were enraged, partly because it spoke to something that had never been on Broadway before. Even down to the fact that there is a brief nudity sequence that had never happened on Broadway, that people were just like, what? There are elements of this show that still will probably make people feel uncomfortable. And my hope is that when the audience starts to feel that uncomfortableness, because we don't shy away from it, we shouldn't. I think there is numerous times we talk about theater has multiple purposes, whether it is to entertain, whether it is to educate, whether it is, hold that mirror up to the face of American society and say, why are we still here? This type of stuff. Hair leans into all of that. On that first rehearsal, I apologized to the cast. I said, I'm so sorry, but I wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning screaming this music because it's so good. It's so good. And I said, and I hate to tell you, it's always a different song. It's always a different song. I wake up in the middle of the night going, and then I go, oh God. But there's also stuff in this show that is meant to be uncomfortable. And my hope is that audiences will not shy away from that audiences will come, maybe lean into the uncomfortableness, stay through, and then allow it to be something that resonates and you start to reflect on. That's where I feel like we would have, I guess, an idea of success.
Absolutely.
When you feel offended and you just walk out, that does speak. But when you feel uncomfortable, maybe you feel offended by something, and you stay there to take the rest of it in, and then pause, and don't feel like you have to, and just think about what was said, how it was said. And then come to your own conclusion. You can be offended and continue to be offended by it, and that's okay. but to not give it its space and give it its time to just feel like what is resonating.
Sort of enjoy the difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of theater.
Yeah. Well, wow.
I know.
That's exciting.
It's like a whole adventure from where we first started, where I was like, what? Why hair? Are you kidding? And now we've just talked for about 15, 20 minutes about the whole thing, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm probably going to be sad when it closes, but y'all need to come because it's going to be a rock and roll experience. It's really a great show. And tickets are selling pretty fast, so get going.
That part. That part. Well, okay, Brandon, thank you for taking your time. I know you're heading into Tech Week here soon, and so things are going to get really busy.
Yep.
Thank you all for sharing your time with us, and we hope to see you at Hair.